Add on library session. The walls have been filled. So today, what do I mean by reusable add-on libraries? Let me just quickly verify. For today's discussion, the scope is libraries that plug into the palette and then are available to your environment, all of your IDP. And today I wanted to give an update on what has been done in LabVIEW, what are the main points we've heard from you, confirm those, and then kind of show you what are the things we're working on. So why are we even talking about this? How many people here, just a quick check, how many people here share reusable libraries and code with coworkers, people in your company? How about community? Either you share with community or you take something.
We tried to do that.
Awesome. How about your customers? People who pay you for the things you build. Oh, they get the executable version? Okay, well, good to know. So there are all of these sharing workflows for reusable libraries and things that enable all of us in the community to share with coworkers, community, customers, and then just leverage each other's IP instead of having to be creative. And today we hear from you that there's so many different ways that you can do it. You can use VI package manager, so you've shared you use VI package configuration file. Just curious, how many people here use VI package configuration file?
VIPC.
VIPC. Okay. Some of you have started using VI package manager, which is really cool. It has more functionality than some VIPM. Things provided than GitSub modules. I know some of you are using GitSub modules. How many people here are using GitSub modules?
Oh, okay, I have a blog post.
I didn't wait the right person.
Yeah, I got a blog post if you want to learn how to do it.
They get frustrating really quickly.
Copy, paste, renew, relink, the old school way of doing things, anybody doing that. Just copy the folder into the directory and no? Everybody knows that I'm kidding for that. Virtual machines to actually manage the entire stack of your project. There are people still doing that. Right, there you go. Yeah, because sometimes it's needed. And then homegrown tools. When none of this works, and you have to kind of develop your own tools. And you're doing that, Sumedha?
We're trying to grow up.
Okay. Yeah. So there are all of these variety of tools that you use, and they provide sometimes a common subset of functionality, but then sometimes a variety, a very subset, superset of functionality. And what we've heard from all of you are some of these things, right? You would like to be able to track your dependencies. You would like to be able to reproduce the stack as is. You would like to be able to easily share code, and then know and control the expected dependencies. And then sometimes switch between projects and do that really fast. So not all of you are going to need all of these, but this is a list that we've heard from at least one or more of you multiple times. So now let's talk about, we know what you're doing in LabVIEW today. We've heard about all of these different kinds of functionality that you would like to have or care about that you have. So where are we with that in LabVIEW and XG? So I will kind of give a timeline and then a demo of the functionality that I'm talking about. It's a very quick demo. But first, let's talk about the timeline. With LabVIEW and XG 2.0, we introduced the concept of libraries. And with that, palette editing. So something that we did a little bit differently in LabVIEW and XG is palette editing is included in the LabVIEW and XG editor. And I'll show you that in a bit. Then in LabVIEW and XG 3.0, we introduced two new concepts, add-on editing and package dependency documents. And I'll show you these concepts in a bit too. But these basically allow you to depend on add-on libraries that other people are providing, kind of extract the stack that you're using, and then edit them as you need to. With an XG 4.0, I think now I can talk about it, even though it's not yet released. So, but I think it was talked about in the roadmap session, is we are releasing the packaging ability for libraries. So right now, you can package applications and binaries, but with LabVIEW and XG 4.0, we're releasing the ability to package reusable libraries, and I'll demo that. And a little bit of what's behind the curtain. We've started to work on, and you'll see this in the test lab when I say work on, ability to package examples and template projects so that they will show up in the lobby, like all of the NI stuff shows up. And then we've started looking at forward compatible packages as how can we use NI packages to support multiple versions of LabVIEW. So let's go through them one by one. Any questions so far? So LabVIEW and HTTO, with libraries and palette editing. How many people here are familiar with libraries, palette editing, have tried it, and LabVIEW and HTTO? I don't know, David, I don't know. Okay, so David's tried it. Anybody else? Okay. So I'll highly encourage you to go to Test Lab and try some of these things. Because as I'm demoing this, you'll realize there's functionality exists, you can build these things. So there's definitely scope for improvement, but there's all of these things. We need your feedback to know which ones would you like for us to improve more. So it'd be great if you can try some of these things in Test Lab. So this is a library that I've created. The simple add, subtract. The way to create, thank you. All right, that works. This is a library I've created in LabVIEW and HTTO. It's a simple add, subtract. The way to create it was just creating name and then saying library. Okay. So the extension is .gcom. You can see it has two elements, add and subtract. It has a name, type. You also have the concept of namespace if you're trying to play with that. Right now we're not going into that. But then you can create a palette file right here. So you click on this, you can pick where you want this palette. You want it on the diagram. You created this palette, and it automatically added everything that you had in there. And you can change this configuration. You can remove things, you can add more things, change the layout. Let's say that's what you wanted to do, so you save it. So now this is a library that you have available with your VIs as well as your palette. If you give this library to someone and they go in, right-click, add file, and add this to their project, they will see very similar behavior to this. You see now that the palettes are available because it's available in the project by directly adding it. So right now we've shown how you directly can add a library as source into your project and make the palettes available to other people. Any questions so far? Okay. What is next? So next, let's talk about add-on editing and package dependency document. And what are these things? The package dependency document is the ability, gives the project the ability to track and look through the source and analyze which packages is your source using. So for example, if I had, let's say, analysis, on here, I can drop save it, and then I right-click on the project. Right-click on the project and say capture package dependencies. When I do this, it analyzes the code and finds the dependencies you have. In this case, it only showed one dependency and not analysis because analysis comes with LabVIEW. So if you have LabVIEW installed, you have that. It shows you the version that was installed, and by default, it picks the expected version to be greater than the version that was installed. Now, go for it.
Do you have a means of zooming in your screen? I'm just having a hard time. That was not a zoom.
Big resolution.
I am trying, but it's not. It's actually showing the one screen of my screen.
You know, you can zoom the world in.
Resolution, like if you go to the desktop, right click and then just decrease
The remote machine, you can.
Chris, you're invited to sit up the front row.
That's what I was saying. Don't listen to Chris.
Does anybody else know that?
That's how I know about it. Oh wow, I can see everything just.
It's really small.
That's fun.
All right, Chris. That's
I know.
I'm sorry.
Fortunately, this document doesn't zoom.
Okay. Yeah, I think they,
Right click, create resolution.
let's see. That's what I had. It's a remote machine. It's a task machine. That's a.
And next time install Sumedha
Submit. Okay.
from Microsoft.
So it's as big as.
Okay. So what, I
It's like a
will tell you what's on the screen. It says eSite 24 Access Series Instrument Driver, API support. And it tells you the version is, that you're expected to have is greater than equal to 19.5.0. And the version that you have installed is 19.5.0.
Does that mean the VI knows which version of which library it's part of?
The VI knows which package it came from, yes.
The version
In
of
this
that
case.
package? It's not just the
Yes,
package, it's
the version of the, when I say the VI knows, LabVIEW and XG knows. We actually don't store that information in the VI. There's metadata that is installed with the package that helps us identify the information and surface it. So it's not like the VI is gonna get dirty because you're moving packages or things like that.
How do version numbers work? That's a pretty ridiculous version number.
First thing that don't work.
There is a display version and then there is a, like this is the 19.5.0, what we're showing here, that's really good feedback for us. There's a display version and then what's the longer one called? Version, and what we're showing here is the version, but we can switch that to showing the display.
Which, the reason it has that large number in there, that's the build number,
Yeah.
the fourth field.
There's a little bit of NI cuts showing.
Yeah.
Yes, so maybe we should instead show display version.
So I mean, is semantic versioning a thing? And
Yeah.
is that that is the right version numbering situation to use? Or
What's wrong with 19.5 or whatever, what's wrong with that?
19.5.0 is fine. .49152.
It's the build. That's the build number.
Yeah, and semantic uses the build.
That's good information.
And then dash zero.
But that should, yeah, what if,
That's,
what if like it gets into which is bigger if when you start putting dashes and all these things.
Yeah.
that is, I think that's again the feedback, but that is the way I build packages.
With daily building.
That's the information you're seeing. I don't necessarily
It
think
is
that.
very confusing for users though to figure out what version it is when you have multiple different versioning systems and we don't know which one is the right one.
I know, but.
Yeah, just max minor space and patch seems to be, and BL seems to be a pretty common.
Yes.
So
You're taking-
semantic version
okay.
just lets you type a string after that, and so you can
Yes.
put 10-A, and then you can have
Beta.
11, or then you have 2-B. Which of those is bigger,
Yeah.
right?
And we use this for notation on like beta 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think the point is fair, we've taken a note, I think we need to go back and define that better, we're not sure.
What?
Well,
So in this case, if you,
sorry, the last thing is just like when you're using current gen's package over right now, you get 1.0.0.3 or whatever.
Yeah.
Or sorry, you get 3-4.
Correct.
And it's, yeah, that's not how semantic versioning works.
Right.
But it sort of is, and being sort of but not it is the problem, I guess. So, anyways.
that's fair feedback. So basically, I would summarize that as, there isn't a clear semantic versioning scheme being followed, and that's confusing.
Yep, that's, we need a line on and pick the right one.
I agree.
Pick one, yeah, makes sense.
So in this case, now that you have this package dependency, I want to point out something first. This is an SLS document, which is a solid state file. It's not an NI standard, this is an open source standard. So you can use this solid state and deploy it, say, using System Link or other forms. Then the other thing that I want to point out is, if you have this document in your project, and you open this project, and say you do not have this version installed, or you don't have this package installed at all, or you have a different version installed that does not meet your requirements. You're going to see kind of like a hazard light over here saying that something is amiss with your project, and you're going to see a warning telling you that you should look at your dependencies and fix them. Any questions on that? Yes.
Does it,
automatically just install that package right away, or does it kick you over to VFCAM or NFCAM to?
You will see this checkbox that's resolved, that is because everything is installed right now, it's disabled.
Right.
But you will see that, you'll click on it, you will, through that, you can go through an IPM and it will take you to the installation.
So we'll bring
process.
that.
Yes.
I have two questions. First, is there a more complicated syntax than just greater than or equal to? Like, can we specify between these versions, allow semantic version patched but not major, all that kind of syntax?
The UI doesn't allow that yet,
Yeah.
but because it's a solid state file and solid state by default allows that, you can go to the text file, open it and change it. It's just YAML.
And then my other question is, does it know, so if I built it on my machine and I built it with version 1, and then my coworker has it open on his machine and he has version 2 installed, if I gave the build to my customer with version 1 and then my coworker opens up the project file and builds it with 2, let's say it meets the expected version stuff, that's a problem.
Oh, will it dirty this document?
Well, but what I think, what I'm trying to say is, I want to, by default, store the version that was used right now. Essentially, instead of having an expected version, just have an equals. And so that when my coworker opens it up, he gets the right version. But at the same time, I also want a version number so that when I decide I want to upgrade the package using the version number, I can click a button and upgrade the package using the version.
You want explicit version linking.
I don't ever want the case where I have an expected version specified that has a range, and I, on my computer, have one version installed, so I build it, the application, and then my coworker has a different version installed that still matches
The range.
the range, and he builds it, and it just all happens magically without any complaints by LabVIEW, but we just built possibly very different code for our customer by accident.
So you want
In
to,
that case, why would you not have explicit, like you were asking
Equal.
the first question, equal to, I didn't get that.
You give equal force your coworker to get that person versus one.
Yes.
Then you don't run into that issue.
The answer, all right, so it's a GPM works, obviously. No, but so what happens is you say, hey, it's cool if you upgrade this when we're talking, so semantic version, you use a caret, and the caret says like the last digit in your semantic versioning is fine to rev all we want. But at the same time, you don't want that to happen automatically, exactly, but when you want it to happen, it's no big deal, you just hit the button. Whereas when you're changing a major version number in semantic versioning, you're getting breaking changes. So you don't want that to be very easy. You want to explicitly have to go in there and say, give me the breaking changes, because I'm gonna go and I'm gonna fix those breaking, or I'm, like APIs are changing this, I'm connector panes, all this kind of stuff. I need to go in there and do the complicated fixes.
How does that address your previous scenario?
What's my previous scenario?
I think I understand your problem as if you're saying that if I'm using build 5.6.1.2,
Yeah.
and 2 is the build number, and your coworker is using 5.6.1.3, because it's just a build number change, you're okay with that. But you don't want him to use 5.6.2? Did I understand it correctly?
No, I want, if I installed it to that 0.2, everybody uses 0.2. But I want it really easy to be able to upgrade to 0.3.
Okay.
But I want it really hard to upgrade to the next major version.
Got it, okay.
So
I
Those are
think-
the kind of use.
so maybe you're asking for a way in the ID in the project to restrict minor versus major upgrades?
Well, so that's
Warn on minor and kind of, warn on major, I guess.
what I don't want is my coworker to open it up, and because the version, their thing mixes the version number, they just build,
So that'd be
there's
a
no
warning,
complaint.
it gets a warning.
So in the NPM world, it's a package.lock file. In the other, all right, here is the good use case. When I'm building an application, I probably want the equals as my version range specifier, but when I'm building a package, I want the greater than or equal to as my specification. But when,
I think they're.
Look up, so I guess I'm doing a bad job of explaining it, but look up why package lock files exist in the NPM world. And somebody wrote a blog article that probably does a much better job explaining.
No, but I think I don't fully understand these cases, but I can kind of understand the things you're getting at because we've talked to some of those. So let me tell you, I think the way, because we even looked at NPM, so the freeze functionality like it has, that helps with that. So some of the things we've talked about, it doesn't exist yet though. So that's where like if you give us feedback,
That's what I'm doing right now.
Eric isn't sure, yes, we're noting it. But things like freezing it will actually freeze the entire stack and pulls the packages in and then knows that this is unlocking to these versions. Then some other things that we've talked about are switching it. Obviously you can switch between equal to, greater than. Then when you talked about creating a package or creating an application, so this is only managing the project's dependencies, right? When you create a package, it has its own dependency versioning, which you can choose to be different than this. So that also gives you that flexibility of, I am going to create an application package, I want to lock that application package, versus the project I'm okay with it managed. Okay, some of those things will address that, but I will definitely go check the lock functionality you're talking about and see the other use cases that are falling out. That's your dependency. That was a good discussion. I think this really helped. No, you don't have to be. This really helps us actually figure out what are the things we should be looking at more. So this is very helpful for us.
What? So the add-on editing functionality that I was talking about earlier is so unlike LabVIEW, there's a fundamental shift here. Unlike LabVIEW where you can just edit VI with VIs, you cannot edit VIs that are in the add-on library, add-on location for LabVIEW and Xcode. What does that mean? Sometimes we've heard from you all that somebody else on your team by mistake edits a VI in VI-lib, or you edit a VI in VI-lib that you didn't mean to for a different project, but you needed to for this project, and that just happens to overwrite. Has anybody here run into that situation? So I see a lot of that. So,
Yes, we also have the opposite requirement. Sometimes they distribute source where it's fixed in situ on site. So I'm guessing that you allow for both?
Yeah, so the way to achieve that is the add-ons aren't editable by default. But say I decided I wanted to edit this instrument driver. I am going to open it and then I get this option to duplicate it. When I duplicate it, it makes a copy of it in my project. So now you have the source of it. You're not linked to the package anymore because if you edit it, you really don't know that the contents of the package are the same as your source. So now you make a copy of it in your project and you can edit that. And if I was to go back, that was the other thing I was going to point out to you. By default, even though I said they get a warning, they're not forced to do it. So even if you had equal to, they'll just get a warning. They'll still be able to do whatever. Unless they click on this and recapture dependencies, your dependency SLS won't change automatically. So that might help a little bit in a situation where you get the flexibility without really changing the requirements.
So I actually tried doing this with one specific function that ships with LabVIEW and XG. And what I found was that it, instead of just copying the one GVI that I'm interested in editing, it actually copies the entire gcomp and all of the dependencies of that gcomp into my project, which for the one I was looking at was a pretty monumental amount of stuff. And so, I don't know if I'm offering a suggestion, but that was a kind of unworkable solution for me to duplicate that level of shipping code just because I wanted to change one thing.
I think that's fair. We're noting that. I want to clarify, did it copy all the dependencies or just copied everything that was in the add-on? We do kind of promote people to build more componentized libraries so that, and then add-ons out of those libraries and package them up separately, but you're right, some authors might not do that. It still shouldn't have copied all of the dependencies, should have only copied everything that was included in that one add-on, and that author maybe put a lot of things in that add-on. Do you remember if it was all the dependencies or just the add-on?
It might have just been the whole add-on.
Okay.
It seems like it was more than the one gcomp though.
Got it, okay. And that was still, was there a performance issue through that, or like what were the roadblocks you were running into because of that?
Well, I just, for what I was doing for distributing the toolkit, I didn't want to be distributing something that was that giant loaded thing with
One change.
this kind of weird copy.
You wanted to make a
I was
small.
willing to do that hack for one file, but not for that, so.
This sounds like it's gonna be a huge problem.
These copy of the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, I know why it's there, and I definitely have done it in certain situations. But like, if you have peer packages, maybe and you want to fix. So all right, so you have package A uses package B. I do this to package B. What happens to package A? So if I have class in package B, package A uses class. I make my own version of this. I change class. I can't wire that into package A anymore, because those are different classes, or they should be different classes, I think.
So actually, one thing I've done within current LabVIEW to kind of handle this, you don't want to copy the whole class, but you want to extend one VI. Like you want to change. I did this report gen in LabVIEW regular, and so I copied one report gen VI, modified it, and then saved it in a class which is a child class of the original class, so that all the connections of the wiring would work with no problem. You could.
That work with the project?
Maybe that was a different toolkit I'm talking about. Maybe
What I'm saying is a properly designed OO situation is like 100% addressing this sort of.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, if it was more object oriented, and you could, instead of copying the whole thing, you just extend the class or the toolkit or the library, then you could add the functionality without duplicating everything else that exists.
Yeah, perhaps copying is too simplification. Maybe copying is a simplification of what we really want to extend or.
Well, I think if 100% of NIH drivers get rewritten with interfaces once interfaces come, then I think we're in good shape.
No.
I don't know. This sounds like it's going to lead to a lot of hairy issues.
So,
I think we kind of already done it. I just wanted to point out that one copy isn't as simple as you might think when you're copying it.
so the main issue that you pointed out was like it's copying everything instead of just copying the granular code or library that you wanted to choose. And you're extending that to say that when object-oriented is the picture, then it gets even more complicated, right?
I don't think that object oriented needs to be in the picture for this to be a problem. I think that it highlights the problem nicely, but I think you'll fundamentally still be running into that sort of problem. Like I think that if it's just a package that does a thing that isn't dependent on other things, then yeah, no big deal, do this. But as soon as you start getting packages that depend on packages, and you do this the one in the middle, and you still need to use the one at the top, and this, that, and whatever, I think this is gonna make you're gonna run into a bunch of weird use cases that aren't gonna work, and you're gonna have to end up modifying every package that you depend on.
And you're pointing out that if you edit the source in a way which is not compatible with the dependency that you had initially, now you're kind of good, right?
Maybe you don't even have to edit it. Just the fact that you have another copy with a different namespace, I think already creates the problem.
Yeah.
Even before you edit anything.
Yeah.
So that one is addressed because we'll disable for this project, we're not using the namespace in the add-on directory anymore. We're using the namespace that is here in this library. But
Right, and that's what creates the problem, because if you still want to interface in any way, like calling functions or using classes or taking advantage of any resource in some other package, now things aren't the same type anymore because they've got a different.
I think no.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm saying. It's like when you have a big old tree of lots of packages and you start trying to like snipe out the one in the middle, then the ones in the other spots in the tree are have a high chance of running into issues, because it won't just automatically relink to your sniped out version. So then you'll have to go and snipe out that version and modify that, and then it ends up being like you have to go all the way up to the end.
So from what I understand, what you're explaining on that's not, what you're pointing out is that that's not a problem that the copying is causing. That would exist today if you do it that way with the existing solution too. It's just what Michael was pointing out, copying doesn't solve that either.
Yeah, smarter solution.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, is like, I think that you're giving us a button to do something very easy, that is gonna lead to mega headaches. You know what I mean? It's like giving you a really easy button to do a really bad thing.
Potentially.
Potentially bad thing. Which is typically not what NI does. Usually NI does the opposite, where they don't give us the buttons to do the things that we actually do.
Potentially bad thing. But if the button didn't exist, you were entering with DI or DI directly, which seems worse to me.
How often does that happen? I'm just genuinely curious to the people here. How often is there something in BI Lab where you're like, you change the thing?
Like instrument.
It happens a lot with instrument drivers. Instrument drivers are.
Instrument drivers are an example, they're not a driver.
Yeah, exactly. Most of the time they're examples.
But in that case, you're probably okay duplicating the whole.
And you're doing that as like essentially a concrete implementation.
Yeah, but I think an example is what Darren was presenting this morning. Like, I have had to do the thing that he was saying where you have picture controls or things that you need for high performance application and they're not in line or they have debugging enabled or something that is causing problems. I've had to change those. And there are certain packages in the ID that are really easy to extract and just make the copy that I want. But an example of one that is a nightmare and is class-based is the 3D graphs. And there are several of those that I've had to modify, and something that potentially should just be, let me create a child, becomes, no, let me just copy the entire stack and just make my own version.
So does that become worse because of this, or is that already bad and we're just not helping? I'm trying to.
Well, I just think that this isn't scalable, is I guess what I'm saying. This works for your 2D picture control where it's 10 VIs and there's no linkages and you know, like there's type deaths or whatever. It's like that.
But it's not gonna work for the 3D.
But it's not gonna work for the 3D thing when you need to replace that little chunk in the middle.
So what we have done on that example that I was doing with the 3D, we were not successful to copy because there were so many classes and so many circular dependencies and crazy things on that hierarchy that what we ended up doing is we have a plus install BI action that goes into BI lead and replace the code that we need to modify.
And you could just do.
And then we need to do it because every time that we operate LabVIEW, we forget that we made that change. So just having that installer makes sure that it goes and makes the change.
Yeah, you definitely extended class, so report in this case.
Yeah.
I still can't put that word.
Yeah, and I couldn't. I would try to extend the class, and it was just, we couldn't.
It's good to know.
Yeah. Okay,
I will talk to you all more about that use case, but that one I haven't heard of before, so that's interesting. We'll follow up on that. Yes.
Some of the confusion here may be the result of us understanding how the linker works in Origin today. I understand, I think the linker works differently in NXG. True story? Okay, so when we make a copy of code today, you have to update all of the columns. If there are no columns, it's not a problem. But in the complex package world, there's lots of columns. I think that's what Darren is getting at. But that's because of the way that the linker works today.
But when you make this copy, you're changing the namespace, which is.
Oh.
You're not changing.
You're not changing the namespace.
No,
You're just changing the code, the namespace is the same. We're switching the project to use this version of the namespace instead of the one that we installed. We just tell it, don't use that one. The namespace is the same, you can switch back and forth.
So any column upstream would start using your new code. Like in your example of like A plus B plus C, you modify B, you change the functionality, it's gonna be using your new B without you having to make any changes today. Now, if you break the connector pane or something like that,
That's what I was thinking.
you're in trouble. But if you're keeping everything from an API perspective the same, it's just gonna work.
It's just an order.
Why did you demo?
It should work. This is why we got test lab, you can buy it, tell us if it doesn't.
I don't know. I still think we're setting ourselves up. There's a lot of cases. All I'm saying is, you know, if you ABC, A, you know it works, and then you go change B, you no longer know that A works.
Yeah, but lots of people know that.
No, but what I'm saying is if it's packages that things don't work, or you're kind of, I don't know, you're on your own.
Yeah.
But you kind of.
I'm sticking with it's a button that does something that's bad.
I think that's fair. We can talk about it. I will tell you the intention of it.
I'm just not gonna click it, guys. You click it all you want. I'll present at the CLA Summit by how you got screwed by this button. And I'll just be in the back being like, I told you.
Let's move on.
Alright, so library packaging, I'll quickly demo this, just so that you all know. There is a way to now package up libraries. So the way you create a package, and if you were creating it within the LabVIEW NXT editor, is you go new package installer, or you can right click on the library too, and then just drag it. It has set everything for you. It says it knows where it needs to go, so it goes under public add-ons. I'm logged in, so it filled all my information in here. And I just build this package. So right now, as we saw, the palettes were only available in this project. But now, after I build this package and I install this package, basically the palettes will be available in all projects.
Can you show them where the palette editor is real quick?
It did already.
Oh, yeah, just I was typing an email for that.
Dude.
Alright, I'll quickly install it.
I was right with that. It's email, so.
Meanwhile,
So there's no separate package builder? It's integrated into 4.0?
so there is a package, yeah, so there is a package builder integrated into LabVIEW NXT. We're also working, caveat, I think Spider-Man said this, I'm not sure, with Lee Power. I tried to look it up, it was
Zoom in.
It was Abraham Lincoln.
Zoom in.
I read that somewhere. I read that on a picture somewhere.
I think Spider-Man said this. I actually tried to confirm if Spider-Man was the first one to say it or not. I couldn't. Wikipedia was confusing. But what I'm trying to say here is that whatever you're seeing next isn't really committed work with any timeline. But we're showing you a lot of what is in development, what we're researching. So just keep that in mind. Though saying that, if you go to the test lab, you can actually try the example packaging workflow that is under development. So I'll show you that. There is a separate package builder too, called an iPackage Builder.
So there's a separate one that has the same functionality as the embedded one?
It has advanced functionality. So this, as you saw, was very quick. You could just drag things in and it set some things for you, but it also didn't let you configure a lot of other things. So if you launch an iPackage Builder,
Okay, so the use case for the other one is I'm working with small team, created this wonderful reuse thing. Here it is, instead of sending them a zip file, I'll just right click, create an actual package and send them the package within the product. But if I wanted to do the same, but now share it with the entire company, customers, et cetera, I probably would do this instead. Is that what?
yes.
Okay. So the other one is kind of like, please don't do a zip file. We made it really easy. Just create one within the environment.
Yes, you can do deployment of applications as well as libraries. I think the place to switch is, A, you're using really complex architectures. You're using multiple projects. You're not just actually confined to one project and you have a framework, maybe you have multiple libraries you want from different projects, or you're using test-stand along with it. So for things like that, we would recommend coming into an iPackage Builder. In this case, I could go in, add a project. So this is the functionality, you can test it out, but as I mentioned before, it's under development. You can create a new package here. It's discovering the dependencies. It will understand what's under LabVIEW NXT. It will let you open that. And then when you create a package, it will fill in the destinations.
This is every time. This is what I by them.
It's also launching next year. It's launching probably a beta build, which is so.
It's not launching NXT, but yes, it is doing discovery. Uses it. Now you can see the lab, it detected the LabVIEW NXT 4.0 is installed. You can drag this project in here. Something I wanted to point out is some of the practices practices and policies that we're recommending is using this kind of a directory structure for install, which is your company name, product name, then your product name and field, so that the examples are not conflicting with each other if two products have the same name or something like that. So this is the process by which you can then build this. You can create multiple packages, add dependencies to an package builder. All of this is available in Test Lab to test. And you can edit the version. All of this will then, once you build it and install it, it will install on your machine. And eventually, basically, the purpose of that is, once you have examples and templates, you can put them here in the lobby under templates or learning under examples and lessons. As I was calling out the functionality, it's incomplete yet, but it's under development, so I can't show you the entire workflow. But that's the first half of the workflow, and then there's the publishing part that will help you with this.
So I'm gonna make a guess, you can check for me. I think probably everything you can do with the NI package builder, you can do from the command line on NIPM. Is that a fair guess? As long as you're willing to learn all the flags and
Yeah.
options?
I mean, packages are just, you can put any file pretty much anywhere on the system. So yes, if you know where you need to put them and how to stage them, so you can build a package from the command line. Sure.
Yeah, where it's extended a bit further and what our team's working on right now, which is showing, is to get a project or a template to appear in this window, there's a metadata file describing the location within the hierarchy of the lobby, we're calling it this lobby, for where you're gonna put that template or example. There's a GUID that represents each one of these folders. And you can create your own new ones.
So it helps you make that.
And there's an editor experience that creates that file and allows you to put your projects in those locations.
Was the question behind your question that if there's going to be a command line version of being able to do this?
No, I guess I just wanted to make sure that I understood kind of what was really happening with it. Thanks.
It's extending it further than that.
And sometimes we're trying to decipher what's the difference between building and product building through this. Why would I do this? What do I get? And it sounds like there's some additional information that you can add to the package, and that additional information gets displayed here, so it's abstracted from us.
Well,
I think.
also going back to our use case of in the product when you're building a package, it's for sharing code.
And it's like it was like a single library. It was very simple thing.
You're not building a project with that and giving that to somebody. If you wanted to do that and share this project and all of the files that you're working on, you would use that package builder. Because it's multiple projects, collections of code, not necessarily saying this is going to be a palette here.
So for example, the VQMH, if I was just sharing the class for the queue management, I could just right click on the library for the queue in product and give you that. But since VQMH is that, plus the toolkits, plus the example, plus the help, I would not do that. I have to go to the outside of product.
So here is, there is no analog to encourage it today. You have build specifications, lots of build specs under that project item, build all.
Well,
In kind of into the
Multiple build specs and be able to build multiple specs.
you can still build the ones that are within the product that way. You can build an application in a library. Yes.
I have 5 other packages I want to produce in the same project. Is that possible?
You have 5 NI packages from the same.
I have 5 things that I want to turn into 5 packages from the same project. Is that possible?
Within the lobby and queue.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're in the same
And I have
project
builders for multiple projects.
or the project itself. Yeah.
Does it determine build order?
It will rebuild your, right now it will rebuild your, so if you build the top level, it will rebuild the application.
The order of building, which doesn't know.
So in current gen, you would build first PPL, then the executable, then the
Yeah.
installer. So when you say right click on build specifications and say, and you say build all, supposedly
Yes, it will.
it's smart to do it.
It will, yes. If you build the package and you have application in it, and that depends on the GLLs, it will build the GLLs and the application of the package.
Yeah, it actually builds all. We wanted it to add build specific ones outside of building all, right?
I think it will accomplish the same thing as you're saying,
Yeah.
because that you have multiple build specs, an EXE build spec, a package build spec, and a GLL build spec, and it's building that in order. If you build the top level, it will do
If I
that.
have 5 packages, A, B, C, A depends on B, B depends on C, the build order is CBA.
That one I won't do that. That's not supported right now. But I believe, I don't know, I think an package builder, we can confirm that. And a package builder, another use case would be building complex installers. Feature with package installers.
And when you have to add third-party installers and stuff like that, you would go to an package manager because an package manager knows how to handle payloads that are not LabVIEW.
Also want to call out that NI Package Builder is not just for NXG.
Yeah.
You can do whatever with that.
Yeah, like you're using it for test and deployments.
Yep.
Quickly on forward compatibility, looks like I think the next session. What is forward compatibility? It means the ability to install the same add-on package into multiple versions of LabVIEW and XG. We've heard feedback from you all at different places. The CLA Summit, I know you presented the last CLA Summit with the package manager. And then in-person discussions, all of these different places. We had a brainstorming in Europe, CLA Summit. And recently we did a concept testing series where basically we were trying to figure out, when I say concepts, these are very high-level concepts that we should do a lot of people. We're trying to figure out what models can we work with. These are the two we're talking about, just sharing that it is in the research phase, which is, do we have, what this concept explains is there are multiple projects within each version of LabVIEW and XG. So you can see these two projects within LabVIEW and XG version 3.0 depend on version 1.0 of the add-on library, and then this project 3 in version, LabVIEW and XG version 3.0 depend on a different version of add-on library. And then LabVIEW and XG 4.0, project 4 depends on that version 2 of the add-on library, but other projects are dependent. So basically project level dependencies. Versus here you have LabVIEW and XG level dependencies, which is similar to how we have packages are today. So these were the concepts that we were walking through and now we're exploring further. I have a request for you all. There are sheets on your desk, and if you don't have one, please raise your hand, we'll bring those to you. What will really help us if you help us rank these trade-offs and tell us, like, assume when you're ranking them that you're not getting the other ones. So rank them thinking, when I get reproducibility of the stack, somehow it's reproducible but not traceable. Don't assume you get the other one. So if you can rank them in the order of your care about, that would be really helpful for us. And then we'll be engaging with a lot of you, talking further about.
And if you have any other kind of feedback, write it on the back of the paper.
Yes.
Bring it back to
Yeah. Something we missed or anything else. Just rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then this is our contact information. Aaron, Eric is at the back. If you're interested in talking more about the solid, please Thank you all.